So this is a lesson I'm going to have to learn at some point with my cardiology self-experimentation if I continue it and certain conditions arise. So cardiology is study of the human heart, and there's an organ and there's a corresponding blood flow system, and I study both those things, how it functions together. I'm Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, god of Hades, meaning my god is Hades, the Greek god. Greek original peoples of Greece god. And so this is a husband as seatbelt analogy for my cardiology self-experimentation if I were pregnant. And here I, Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, god of Hades, ruminate about a husband as seatbelt analogy for my cardiology self-experimentation if I were pregnant. That is a safety approach for my research if I were pregnant. And this is one I've previously shown, like back in August 2024, I walked a segment of this, a segment, and then it was like, well, maybe this could work, if I were pregnant for activity. And it's one of those things that with my cardiology self-experimentation with, I'd say, life-threatening conditions on the line. Being pregnant is not the only condition that could happen. It could happen in like the military as well. So there's a little bit of under certain conditions, the husband is seatbelt, right? I'm not giving them authority, that it's self-experimentation, right? So it's being like realizing that I can trust this person and that they're there as a safety device, right? And so like, don't give them something that could hurt me or hurt the human inside me, in my womb, so to speak. The womb in its original sense meant belly, so I'm like, if I don't get human baby pregnant, there's food baby. That applies to men too. Right. I'm being inclusive here for my word choice. And so, I think it's a good one. I think it's the proper seat belt for that particular situation where I'm married, I have a husband, and he's present with me while the human beings, or human beings, right? It could be plural as well, grow inside me. So yes, they're there for safety. However, they're not in charge. I'm still the person sitting and putting the seatbelt on and off. So being responsible with my conduct in that sense. I think there's also it'd be interesting if I were thrown in a military service context before I ever got pregnant, and then be like, well, while it was just kind of a ruminating before, I now have experience with kind of seatbelt type situations and perhaps people, but perhaps persons or situations where they're used as that to protect the soldiers. So like for me, perhaps the army, perhaps my division of preference of choice, if I get that big, army, land-based critter I am, and I'm accepting of that, accepting of my abilities and my limitations. And so there we go. There's a little bit of, I think, in terms of bringing another life into the world, there's actually a preference for, if I had both, I would prefer to have military service before having a human offspring, just to understand how I operate under life-threatening conditions that are persistent. They don't go away, and kind of routinize that and come up with my own standards. Doesn't mean it happens that way, but there's a chronology preference for my own life story if I get that say of I would prefer military service before me being pregnant with / birthing human offspring. So there we go. That's the husband as seatbelt analogy for my cardiology self-experimentation if I were pregnant.